This is weird.
From the land of conjurers, flying through the internet to your device like a UAP, haunting the unexplained and downright weird, this is the Witching Hours, and we are ready to take off in the flash of an eye. Good evening to one and all, wherever and whenever you are listening to this program. I am Frosty, and joining me, as always, is the medium Jenny Lee. How are you doing, Jenny?
I think I'm okay.
Yeah, it's another Monday.
Like we've been a week into the time change, and it's still messing me up.
Oh, I know. It's so dark. Like, I think last night we decided at 6:30, we all thought it was like midnight.
Yeah, it was like,
we're back.
like 7 o'clock. It's like, why is the child not asleep yet?
I know. But I will say, as someone who has to get up early for work, that having a little bit of daylight in the morning, at least that little bit of crack of light has been a help. If nothing else, to be able to get down the stairs without breaking my neck. So I have appreciated that this week. So we have that going on.
And happy Veterans Day tomorrow to everybody in the U.S. for Veterans Day, including Frosty.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of vets I would like to thank and out there, including my dad, who's retired Navy, and my grandfather, who both grandfathers, one served in the Navy, one in the Marine Corps, and lots of our friends and extended family and all that are veterans. So everyone listening out there, if you serve, thank you for your service. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
A couple other things I saw that Keisha had put in chat earlier. A Team Weird Takeover has been announced. If you missed it, it is going to be at the Lord Baltimore Hotel in Baltimore, Maryland, in June, the end of June. And we will have more information on tickets soon. I'm thinking that right now we're looking at putting them up maybe for sale like right after the new year, doing something there.
June 27th, 28th.
Keep your eye out. We will start putting ticket information out, but also we will start announcing some of our wonderful guests who are going to join us for lectures and whatever else, investigations and all those wonderful Team Weird things that we're going to do.
Yay.
In a place with running water and nice luxurious bedrooms. So there we go. Keep an eye out. All right, Jenny, are you ready to get into some news?
Why not?
Okay, so to get into some information here, once again, I don't know about you guys. I mean, I have the weird news feed because I look all this stuff up. I get all this stuff in my news feed. But it has been full lately with 3i Atlas stuff.
Yes, it has. Like nonstop.
I
think that might be for most people, not just us weird woo-woo people.
I mean, I really feel like half of what I'm getting is like fake AI nonsense.
Very well.
But I do have an article here. A lawmaker urges NASA to release Mars images of interstellar visitor 3i Atlas. Representative Anna Paulina Luna sent a formal request to NASA asking that the agency make public any images and data gathered from its Mars mission in early October. NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter reportedly captured detailed photos of the object as it swept by the planet.
Cool.
3i Atlas, first detected earlier this year, is only the third known interstellar object. Of course, we've talked about Oumuamua before, and 2i Borisov in 2019. The comet-like visitor has sparked ongoing debate in the astronomy community because of its slightly unusual, or maybe not so slightly unusual, motion and composition. While NASA has classified it as a natural object, some researchers, including astrophysicist Avi Loeb, have questioned whether its characteristics could suggest something more unusual, or if it's just being simply misunderstood. But there's a lot of information coming out about this because I had kind of had an added story here where recently 3i Atlas passed near the sun, and astronomers are expected it to light up with activity, gases, tail, dust clouds around it. But recent images taken on November 5th showed that the object appeared compact with no source of a tail behind it.
Yeah, the tail keeps appearing and disappearing. And hasn't it been in the front? instead of the back.
Yeah, at one point in time, the tail was pointing towards the sun, or from, so it's been very, very interesting. Some researchers previously noted that 3 Atlas was accelerating slightly in ways that didn't match purely gravitational forces, something that often suggests outgassing. And it did speed up. So it should be releasing gases, but then we're not able to see the gases. So Avi Loeb, Harvard astrophysicist, said that it could be not natural.
I did see there was something. I don't know if this was a for real article or not, but that it has lost some mass after it's been going past the sun, which I would think would be abnormal for a comet.
Yeah,
the sun,
because it's an icy body.
Burn up some things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, let's just say it. In these new observations, no tail is visible. And once again, Professor Loeb estimated that if it were a natural comet, a tail or comma ejecta might correspond to around 13% of the object's mass. The absence of such a tail is considered an anomaly. So there we go.
He's not a bad comment, just misunderstood.
It's just, I mean, the thing about this is there's a lot of speculation. I think much of it overhyped, but at the same time, it is interesting. And so whether or not this is a comet or some alien spacecraft, or probably more likely some kind of weird anomaly that's kind of happening with an icy body, it's interesting no matter what, right? And we're going to learn. We're going to learn something from this, hopefully. So we'll see what comes out of it.
Getting people talking about things.
Yeah.
That maybe wouldn't think about things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And maybe, as we've talked about before, evidently, from what we've heard, there's supposed to be information coming out about that stuff. So we'll see what happens. Next story tonight is Tom Brady cloned his dog.
Oh, good Lord.
Tom Brady says he has been given a second chance with a clone of his beloved family dog. The Fox Sports broadcaster and retired NFL quarterback revealed that his dog, Junie, is a clone of his family's previous dog, a pit bull mix named Lua, who died in 2023. Brady shared the details about Junie as part of a news release by Colossal Biosciences, which you guys should be familiar with, which announced it had acquired Viagen, a company that specializes in animal cloning.
Was that the mammoth meatballs?
Well, that is the ones that cloned the dire wolves in North Carolina.
Okay, the dire wolves. Yeah,
and their next plan down the road is to bring back the woolly mammoth. They want to bring back.
We're working on mammoth meatballs. They did the dire wolves, and now they've done Tom Brady's dog.
Yeah,
I want to know if they did Tom Brady. Do they make a clone of him?
I don't know. I don't know if we need. I don't know. I'll put my football rivalries to the side here. But
I got that far yet. They just started with the dog.
As an Indianapolis Colts fan, I don't know how many more Tom Brady's I want. But anyway, it's interesting. I mean, cloning is coming. It's just like AI. It's already here. It's already here.
When that sheep did like a long, long time ago.
Dolly? Yeah, that was like back in like the 90s. Yeah. Yeah. So there we go. So Tom Brady has a new dog.
New old dog.
Who would have thought Tom Brady's dog would have made weird news, you know?
Right.
And I didn't know about this one, but you guys did it. This isn't my fault. This is what you guys put in the weird news. First human trials show butt breathing technique is safe in healthy volunteers. All right. This is a reflection on Team Weird specifically, not on me.
Where is Luna? She needs to come in here with all her butt emotes.
Researchers are exploring the idea of delivering a specially formulated liquid, a perfluorocarbon, into the rectum where it could ideally release oxygen through the walls of the large intestine into the bloodstream. This could serve as a supplementary route for oxygen delivery when conventional lung ventilation is compromised or unavailable.
Oh, okay.
So like if someone's lungs aren't working, then they can breathe oxygen the other way.
I mean, that's really cool. Although it's, we were laughing at it because it had the word butts in it.
Yeah. The trial included 27 healthy male participants from Japan. They received non-oxygenated perfluorocarbon liquid in the volumes ranging from small amounts to larger amounts. 20 of the 27 participants completed the full hour. Even at larger volumes, some participants experienced abdominal bloating, mild discomfort, or pain.
Yeah.
But no serious adverse events were reported, namely suffocation, right? I mean, no suffocation was reported.
Yeah.
Some participants weren't able to complete the full hour. Also, some had issues possibly related to not having gone to the bathroom in the last 24 hours.
I mean, who thought of this to do this in the first place?
I don't know. Team Weird, evidently. I don't know. I'd never heard about it until they got.
No one in Team Weird developed this.
So potential applications include emergency or resource limited situations, or for patients whose lungs cannot adequately ventilate.
Okay.
So there we go. Well, just think of COVID, right?
Yeah, right. Maybe
Right?
that's why. Maybe that's how it came about. Somebody thought about it when people were having all this breathing issues. Yeah.
So there we go. Welcome to the Witching Hours, by the way. I'm your host, Frosty. And my co-host, me named Jenny Lee.
Yeah, Lou said infants in the NICU. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, all kinds of situations. I imagine like burn victims and stuff. Like, you know, I know there's situations where lungs can be damaged and while they're healing.
Fire. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Smoke. Inhalation. Yeah. All that stuff. People with breathing issues, lung cancer. I mean, I imagine there's a lot of different things that it could be used for. Yeah. So there we go. That was, and it definitely was, the weird news.
Yes.
All right, just want to welcome in everybody again. We are streaming live currently. We are on Twitch. We are over on the Spirit Realm Facebook page, and we are streaming live as well on spiritrealm.net. So wherever you are joining us tonight, welcome in. We're glad to have you tonight. We're looking forward to a great show. Just to give everybody kind of a heads up of what we have going on. Next week, we're going to have Jenny Colucci on. Next Monday, we're going to talk about some paranormal investigations. The week after that, we're going to have, on the 24th, we're going to have Robert Bitto back on. So we're going to talk more Mexico Unexplained. And believe it or not, at that point, our next show will be in December, and we'll be getting into some Christmas shows. We're going to have the Paraclauses on. And we're going to have our annual Christmas special. So we got a lot of things coming your way. So make sure you stay tuned. You can check us out at thewitchinghourspodcast.com. And there you can see all of our upcoming guests. Check out our merch page. Information on Team Weird Takeover will be posted there once we have more. And so that's your one-stop shop if you're looking for any The Witching Hours podcast news. Okay. Colleen McCann created style rituals to be a fun and practical experience to get grounded, healing issues, practice self-care, build better boundaries, to tap into your intuition and more. After straddling the fashion and wellness industries for 20 years, she developed her own brand of Glamour Magick by blending her experiences as designer, stylist, brand consultant, healer, mentor, teacher, coach, author, and serial entrepreneur. Her journey to becoming an energy stylist started in New York City while working in fashion and realizing that statement necklaces had superpowers, colors worn influenced a person's energy, and that her intuition could be used to heal herself and inspire others. She ended up jumping high heels first down the magical rabbit hole, traveling all over the world, studying healing modalities, and eventually connecting all her skills and passions together to found Style Rituals. Please welcome to the show our guest, Colleen McCann. How are you doing, Colleen?
Hey, Frosty. Hi, Jenny. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're excited to have you on. Your list of things that, like your titles and your list of things that you have learned and studied, is pretty phenomenal. Like I feel like I have too many things and too many titles, but you got me beat by probably double at least.
Just a very curious person.
That's good. That's a good thing to be.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of interesting. I don't know. In some ways, it's like when I talked to you previously about having you on the show, and I was kind of looking at what you did, for me, it was something I hadn't kind of seen before, something unique that I'm sure has existed. I know, somewhat about Glamour Magick and things like that, but the idea of style being connected kind of with spirituality and healing and what seemed too unique for me. So I know we just kind of read your bio, but how did kind of all this kind of start coming together for you?
Oh my God. In a highly weird, terrifying way. I was in my late 20s and was getting into my Saturn return. And for any astrology buffs out there or fans, things tend to go upside down and inside out in your late 20s. And you're switching jobs and having babies and getting married and doing all kinds of things that you didn't see coming in your late 20s. And, change is great, but chaos comes before the change. So for me, it was my intuition volume turning way up. And at the time I was living in Brooklyn, working in fashion, and did not see this on my bingo card.
Yeah.
And I ended up, the very first experience I can truly remember, I was in my local bodega. It's the middle of the night. I needed a sandwich. I'm working on a trend presentation and nobody's in there. And, a lot of bodegas have like fruit stands and things outside. So I was in there getting the sandwich and just kind of wandering around until it was being made. And all of a sudden I heard a voice say, there's going to be a fight about bananas. And the man is going to be 32 cents short. And I spun around and nobody was there. I was like, okay, not weird, whatever. I don't know. Someone in the back was talking. And I start to get up to the front counter to get the sandwich, pay for it. And a man comes in with bananas from the fruit area outside, full New York style, pushes me out of the way.
Oh my goodness.
Slams them down and they start arguing because he wants a discount. And it turns out he's 32 cents short. And I'm standing there with my mouth hanging open. And I waited till he left, silently paid for my sandwich. And I was just like, okay, you're really tired. You need to go to bed now. Okay, fine. Wrote that off. A couple days later, I awake in the middle of the night to see a ghost walk through the walls from my apartment into my neighbor's.
Wow.
Okay, fine. And then my phone starts ringing face down. I know who it is, what they want. It's someone I haven't talked to in like 10 years. I start having all kinds of premonition dreams. And the real icing on the cake was riding the subway in New York and having people come up to me on the subway. This happened, I don't know, like 3-4 times, telling me that they had a message for me and that my whole life was about to change and that I was a healer.
Weird.
So weird.
Yeah.
So I want to go back for a second. Okay. So the banana story, you heard that voice, like you heard it with your ears.
Yeah. Full clairaudience.
And the ghost walking through the wall you saw with your eyes.
I did.
Yeah. Those experiences are very hard to shake or write off.
Yeah.
Because, as someone who now has had experience with all this, a lot of times the things happen in your mind's eye, or like you hear the thoughts that aren't your thoughts, but like to have it audible and visual. So, yeah, somebody is really trying to get you to wake up.
Yes, it was very direct, brick in the face.
Wow. So
all right,
people on the subway, like they were just random people just coming up to you?
Yes. I mean, the New York City subway is a crazy place anyways, but I did what any good New Yorker would do. I said, fuck you, get away from me.
But they weren't wrong.
And then, maybe retrospection afterwards. Yeah. I
Okay,
think that's
so
what happens when when that happens to a lot of people, whether or not they're on a New York subway or not.
yeah.
The
Yeah.
first time.
So
Yeah.
backing up some, did you have any kind of interactions or experiences like as a child, like before all of this?
I can say now, after studying and like unpacking my childhood and doing all this work, yeah, it was super present. I was born this way. I won the state lottery when I was 9 years old because I had a prophetic dream about the numbers, but nobody get excited. We won $2,000 in the 80s and got a sweet camcorder. So like,
yes,
nobody get excited.
That's still pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the little pick three, the little balls, right? That come up, after dinner time. And I knew what the numbers were. I finally convinced my mom to go to the gas station to play these numbers. She's looking at me like I'm insane. And my whole family sitting there, okay, Colleen, we'll put the TV on. You can watch the lottery. And the numbers popped up and she's screaming at me that there's no way I could know that. And my aunt was over and she's choking on her food. And there was just like all this chaos. And I just looked at her, I said, but I know. And there were other times, this would happen a lot. I would tell my mom things about my family from like the 1920s to the 40s.
Wow.
And like, I'd be like, oh yeah, great ancestor, her dog's name was this. And my mom just like, or I told her what her kitchen looked like when she was a little girl and rattled off all of her dead dogs' names. Like,
oh my goodness.
There's no pictures of this. Nobody told you this, right? This was the constant conversation between me and my mom. And I said, but am I right? And she said, yeah. And I said, because I know. So
That's really
that kind of stuff would happen. Yeah.
Because some of that almost sounds like there could be some past life things that happened as well, to like possibly.
Right.
It's very interesting.
Let's throw that in the mix.
Yeah, right.
My dad's been trying to get us to use our psychic powers to win the lottery forever. So you probably just reignited that fire because he's watching right now.
Well, it's really interesting. I do have a very strange quirk with numbers, but again, if I'm trying or paying attention, I can't do it. There's a story I think about when I was kind of like going through all this. I'm probably like 35 at that point. I wasn't fully out of the closet yet, and I went to one of my clients' offices, and they said, "Oh, Mary's having a baby," and they had this giant wall of like height, weight, date, right? There was like a bunch of things, and we're doing a baby pool. Do you want to be in it? And I said, of course. So I throw my $20 over here, and I'm like talking about the job, and I'm just like writing on the board, like literally you're not paying any attention. And they called me later, and one of the vice presidents was like, so you won the baby pool. And I was like, oh, cool. And she's like, yeah, you got all the categories down to like the ounces of the baby's weight and the time of birth. And I was just like,
uh-oh.
So I was like, oh, wow, that's weird.
Oops.
I've been found out.
Yeah, that's when you fell out of the closet.
I fell out stumbling. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's some very interesting things that you can do with numbers. But yeah, but not if you're thinking about it.
But not if I'm thinking about it. Not if somebody asks me, right? Like if someone's like, well, what are the lottery numbers? I'm like, I don't know. So it's just when it happens.
I love it. Very interesting. Okay, so moving forward in time now. So you started having all these experiences. Weird people are talking to you on the subway about being a healer. But like at that point, you're already in the fashion world. How does it start to come together?
Yes. Well, I went kicking and screaming, first of all. And right, let's all remember this is 20-ish years ago, right? There's no social media. You aren't Googling healers, or there's no online schools that you can attend. You can't get your Reiki master certification, right? They're like, none of this stuff exists yet. And I didn't have words for what was happening to me. And to make an incredibly long story short, right, when the student is ready, the teacher will show. My first mentor came into my life, and I worked with her for about 3 years. And then she said to me, okay, you have to go to formal training with a group, right? Like, I can only take you so far. You need to sit with other people that are like this and just have a group experience. And I was like, no, I'm just doing this to make the voices go away so I can just go back to fashion and the ghosts will leave me alone, and all this. And of course the volume just gets turned up more and more and more. And so I'll tell you, and I'll tell you my two big stories, but I ended up doing this work due to a Vogue magazine and charm bracelets, as any fashion stylist would say. So I ended up going to this school, which was the Four Winds School for Energy Medicine, and it ended up being a 3-year training. So I was like, okay, whatever. I'm going to try this out. Like, let's just see how this goes. Mm-hmm. And a couple of weeks before I left, I was feverishly going through my jewelry box, and I had found 2 matching St. Christopher bracelets from a company called Alex and Ani that have like little charms on them, right? It could have like a 4-leaf clover or an angel or something. And this one happened to have St. Christopher on, which was the patron saint of travelers. And I knew the woman that owned the company. She had gifted them to me, and they ended up in my jewelry box. So years later, I find these things before school. And for some reason, I just had to take them with me. And I mean, of course, now I can be like, oh, my intuition's telling me to do this. I'm going to trust this. Like, I'll figure it out when it's time. But at the time, I just took them with me. Okay, so we get to school, and there's like 100 people in this class, 4 teachers. It was huge. And the teacher says, okay, we're going to learn a very basic energy technique here just to like sense into someone else's energy. We're going to put you in partners. I get paired with a guy named Christopher. Okay. Not weird, right?
Synchronicities.
Didn't register to me one bit. And he came over, and he seemed kind of like grumpy and quiet. And right, the teacher's like, so we're going to learn bedside manner here. Like, ask your client why they're there, and see what you can find out before you let them lay down in front of you, and just kind of hover your hands around them. Okay, fine. That's what we're supposed to be doing. And I asked Christopher this, and he's like, I don't want to talk about it, and just lays down in front of me. And I was like, fuck, right? Like, can you not help me out here, man? Like, I don't even know what I'm doing here.
What are you doing here?
I know, like, what is happening? And so he lays in front of me, and all of a sudden I can just feel a dead guy standing behind me. And
oh my goodness,
tall and has dark hair, and he's wearing a navy blue fleece zip up with a white crest on the chest. And he has like an East Coast accent, but it's not New York. And he said his name is Dave. And he says to me, tell Chris to stop blaming himself. And I was like, okay, well, I found out I'm a medium right now.
And don't you love that the first message you have to give is like a butt chewing? You're like,
yes. I'm like, can we start off easy? Like, sweet grandma is here? No,
yeah, grandma wants to tell you she loves you. No,
exactly.
Dave wants to tell you, stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah.
So I leaned over and I was like, hey, new friend. Because I'm not in mediumship training, right? I don't have words for this yet. And I said, so Dave is here, and he got really upset. And he starts yelling at me with his eyes closed. He's like, I didn't tell you his name. And I was like, who is it, Dave? And he's like, yeah, blah, 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 like yelling at me. And I'm like looking around. Everybody else in the room is like zen as fuck, except this guy's yelling at me. And I was like, shh, please don't let the teacher come over here. Oh my God, I just wanted to die. I was like, get me out of here. And so I was like, okay, And, I was like, Dave, he's tall and he has dark hair, and I'm like telling him all this stuff, and he has an East Coast accent, and blah, blah, blah. And after this was over, I didn't do the assignment. I didn't do it. And he sits up and he just looks at me and he's like, what the fuck was that? And I was like, I don't know. What the fuck was that? And he like gets up and leaves. And I was like, okay, you're doing good. You're making friends left and right. This is good.
Yeah. First good go. Yeah.
So I went back to my room, and obviously a very long first day at school. And I went to bed, and I was woken up in the middle of the night by Dave, the deceased, standing in the corner of my bedroom, staring at me. And he said, hey, those charm bracelets you have? Yep. He said, well, those are for my mother and my sister. And they want to know I'm somewhere. And you need to give these to Chris. And so Chris knows you're not lying. He shares the same name as my sister. And Dave's out of the room. Like, I didn't get to ask any questions. So obviously I laid there until sunrise with the covers up over my face, questioning my life choices. So, okay, fine. So I go into school with these charm bracelets, and I went over to my new friend and I said, hi, so does, remember that guy, Dave? And he said, yeah. It's like, does he have a sister named Christina? How do you know about Chrissy? Chrissy doesn't have Facebook. And he's like yelling at me again.
Good Lord.
I told him what happened. And I said, I'm sorry. I am not trying to be in your business, but like, can you tell me what is happening right now? And he said, okay. So he said, Dave was my best friend. And 20 years ago, they were both firefighters and EMTs in Boston. So that was the accent I heard. And he confirmed that fleece zip up I saw was what they wore around the firehouse. And they went out drinking on Dave's 21st birthday. And Chris took Dave home, and he died of alcohol poisoning. And Chris had been blaming himself for a really long time. He was like, I should have seen the signs, and like, I know better, and blah, 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 blah. And I told him about what he had to do with these bracelets, and he's like, I can't do that. Nobody knows I'm here. I come from a strict Irish Catholic family. And I was like, well, me too, but this one's not my fucking problem. Your fucking problem. Yeah, Chris and I are still friends, by the way.
Oh, good. Well, it's a St. Christopher bracelet.
Yeah, we just had to yell at each other a little bit. It's fine. So I give him the stuff, and I was like, this is what you have to do. You have to give him these bracelets. I don't know. Like, I'm out, man. I'm out. So after the school's over, weeks later, he calls me and he said, okay, so I went to see the family. I said as little information as possible about where I was. And he said, to confirm your story, they were indeed asking for some sign of Dave's presence somewhere. And to add one more weird layer to the story, apparently the sister Chrissy had one item of Dave's, which was his high school ring, and she lost it around the time I was going through my jewelry box and getting the charm bracelets out. And she was like, Dave, like, bring me something of yours. Show me a sign, right? And so the ring got replaced with the charm bracelet.
Wow.
So I still didn't know what was going on, but I did know whatever this freakish stuff that was going on in my life helped somebody.
Yeah.
And so that was really what catapulted me into taking this a little more seriously and to stop running from it and learning. And I still didn't know what I was going to do yet, but I stayed in school. And then we get 3 years later, I'm at the end of my training, and there is an advanced divination class, which I was so excited to get to, right? So we're reading rocks and piles of dirt and water patterns.
Yay,
and
fun.
The I Ching and, tarot and crystals are up in the mix. Like everybody, the gang's out here. I was like, yes, this is what I know I'm like really strong at. And so the teacher says, hey, everyone, we're going to have a psychic fair tonight, and everyone has to come to the party as their alter ego, and you need to bring something to read for your fellow students, right? So the idea is basically like speed dating, that like half the room are the readers and the other half are the clients, and they come by and get quick readings, right? To help us start to learn how to read different energies quickly.
Yeah.
So, okay, fine. I mean, all I really heard was I got invited to a party. What was I going to wear? That was like the thing that was, you can take the fashion stylist
Yeah.
away from New York, but
Nope.
Nope. So I'm like going back to my cabin. I was at Omega in upstate New York, which that's like 90 minutes outside of New York City and in the Hudson Valley. And I'm tearing my suitcase apart, right? I had been traveling. I had already been gone for like 6 weeks. I knew that like this was my last stop before I go back into New York City. I wasn't even going back to Brooklyn. I didn't have time. I was going to a hotel in Manhattan for Fashion Week. So I have all my like my fashion clothes with me. So I'm like tearing everything apart, and I'm like, I need a mystical scarf. I need a caftan. Like, where is my magical clothes? I was like, I don't have any. So I'm like, the only thing that's clean at this point in my suitcase are my fashion clothes. And I was like, oh, well, that's an alter ego. I was like, my fashion clothes, right? I just went to school, and it's kind of hard to believe, but I was like a wallflower. I was incredibly quiet. I just wanted to like disappear into the walls. I didn't know why I was there, right? I just didn't ask questions a lot, didn't talk a lot. And I was like, oh, well, everybody just sees me with a dirty top knot and in a black sweatshirt and black yoga pants. This should be exciting. So I blew out my hair, put my lashes on. I was in full body lambé. I had stilettos, and I was like, okay, you got this. But I needed something to read, right? Like, what's the accessory that goes with this outfit? And I thought, oh yeah, I could do tarot or crystals. And I was like, yeah, but that doesn't match. And I thought about it. We were talking about bibliomancy, and I was like, oh, well, I mean, fashion magazine, that's what I need. So I'm like running through the woods to the Omega bookstore, and I come in. I was like, hi, do you have a fashion magazine? Oh my God, this guy. I mean, the judgment was real. And he was just like, ma'am, you are like 90 minutes north of where you were supposed to be right now. And he said he did not have a fashion magazine. And I was like, oh, okay, well, how about like Women's Health? And he's like, no. I said, a pamphlet from Oprah or the Dalai Lama? No. Okay. Guy just wanted me to go away. So this girl heard me and taps me on the shoulder, and she said, hey, I'm a fashion photographer from Australia, and I'm here for a breathwork class. I have the Vogue September issue in my room. Do you want it? And I said, oh yeah, because again, remember, this is a really long time ago. Those big, like fatty, glossy magazines were like the Bibles, and the ones that came out in September were 300 to 400 pages long for all the magazines.
Wow.
So she had one of these and gave it to me. So I took this to class and walked in. I was like, okay, I need my reading space. And I thought about it. I was like, okay, I need to channel my inner Joan Rivers here. And I took a red yoga mat and 2 red yoga poofs and did red carpet readings. Now, the fun part was I sit down and I'm like, okay, you look really good right now. And then I was like, okay, cool. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to divinate a fashion magazine. So someone sat down in front of me and it was like, pick a page between 1 and 402. So I turned to this Marc Jacobs bag ad, and there's a tall, naked female and very androgynous looking model, like doing the moves behind big bags everywhere. And I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at this very earthy woman in front of me. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. And all of a sudden the information started flooding down. And I was like, oh, so your therapy practice, you need to move, and you're helping people that are struggling with gender identity, and this and this and like it just started like coming out of my mouth. And she's like, yeah, how'd you know that? And I'm like, the only thing I could muster up, I was like, the Marc Jacobs bag ad told me so. And I could tell she was not into me. So I ripped it out and I handed it to her and I said, I want you to take this to remember our time together and your future. Okay. But what do we learn here? I was like, oh my God, if I can divinate a fashion magazine, I can divinate a closet.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
And then I also thought, oh my gosh, I don't have to leave my industry, right? Because I kept thinking, I'm like, look at me. Like, I eat meat and drink bourbon and swear and wear fake eyelashes. Like, the monks on the mountain aren't going to take me. And I'm like, but I kind of can't stay here either. Like, where am I supposed to go? And that was right, the whole joke with the universe. They're like, no, babe, you're going to go right back in there. Get in there. Get back in the ring. Right. So I had started my work 10 years ago with people that were in fashion, beauty, and entertainment, because that's where I was. And I understood the stresses and pressures in that industry. And that was how Style Rituals was born.
Wow.
Very interesting.
I love the dynamics of you with the imagery of just being like in this crazy dress, like looking all glamorous, sit in front of like the typical, like, like earthy woo-woo lady who's
correct.
Yeah.
It was,
but then everything you told her was exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, and like I said, when you first, when we introduced you earlier, when we started talking about it, when I was first kind of thinking about having you on the show and to talk about it, one of the things especially coming from me, if you can't tell, I'm super high fashion. I mean, but to be serious about that, like what you wear can have a huge energy reaction, and it's something that, knowing that we were going to have you on the show, has been something that's kind of been brought up into the forefront of my mind a little bit, like paying attention to that. And I had a realization the other day because first off, my closet is pretty much just black shirts and camouflage shorts. Like I don't have much.
But you also have lots of Hawaiian shirts.
Well, that's you're ruining my story, Jenny. You're ruining my story.
Oh, sorry.
I'll just let you tell exactly what I was going to say. I'm just telling out my story.
Sorry.
So typically that's just what I would wear. But I do know that when I go to work sometimes, because I do work with teenagers and stuff, I would notice that when I wore an Hawaiian shirt, it would change the energy of the kids around me. Yeah. And I would get, lots of, just people excited to see, and it would change the energy of the room. And so I will work that into my clothing lineup, even though it's kind of like the middle-aged old man thing to do. It still is something that I've noticed where what I can wear can have an effect in the energy in the room that I'm in.
Absolutely. So Fun Frosty wears Hawaiian shirts is what you're trying to tell me.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. Noted.
Yeah, as opposed to like a death metal shirt or something. Or,
got it.
Or like, just a black button-up shirt or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, like just the understanding that, yes, of course, stones, gemstones and crystals and stuff like that, for sure, which I'm sure we can dive into in a little bit. But just what someone wears does have an effect on the energy of the room. Am I correct about that, I guess?
Yeah, absolutely. All colors have a frequency to them, a story to tell, and a mood they're helping to invoke, whether that's clothes you're wearing or the colors of the room, the furniture, right? Everything has a frequency and comes into form.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Everyone's making fun of my dad clothes now. Make sure I have my New Balances on.
Yes.
Sure. But that's something that's interesting too, because a lot of times you have people like me who say they're not interested in fashion at all, but are constantly making fashion choices, or wearing fashion, something that they deem maybe non-fashionable. But like, for instance, so when I was younger, I would wear like camouflage pants with like combat boots and like shirts, and I have my head shaved or whatever, not by choice. But those were still fashion, some form of fashion that was being done there. And I think a lot of people do that. So even if they don't necessarily consider themselves to be fashionable, they're still making like fashion conscious decisions. I guess that's kind of my realization.
Absolutely. Whatever you put on, it's a symbol of something, and you're telling yourself and the world what you stand for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which is something I had never really thought of before. Once again, it was like one of the things like, okay, so like, thinking about conversations we could have, that was something that popped into mind. So
yeah,
when it comes to glamour magic specifically, because I noticed the use of that word. Now, I don't know exactly is that something that you can do real quick? Can you define what glamour magic is? And is that is that something that you're typically working with?
I feel like I'm always working with it. I have stones on. I choose the color I wear according to the day or what I'm doing or where I'm going. So yes, I think it's when we're invoking the powers of beauty and fashion to help do something, right? To portray an image, to shift the energy in the room, to tell a story, to do all these different things, right? And that can be clothing color, it can be gemstones, it can be makeup styles, hair color. All those things to me fall into the glamour magic category.
Mm. Okay.
So just to give some examples, will you tell us some colors and what they mean to you, or how you use them, and how
Sure.
how they affect other people?
So I'm going to speak to black because I also think a lot of weird witchy woo woo people love their black. I do too. And I think about that when I'm doing any kind of like big energy work. Like if I was doing a clearing on somebody, an energetic clearing on a person, or energetically clearing a house, right? It's known in a lot of traditions to wear that color. One, because it's tradition, right? Two, because think about the idea that like the spirit, the entity, the energy that you're trying to release, it kind of like doesn't see you and can't stick to you, right? So there's a storied past around people like us wearing black for spiritual events. I think it's also interesting. There's, to totally flip the script, there's a storied past around people wearing white in many modalities for the same reason, right? That it's the spiritual color. It's a color that's, giving brightness, radiance, right? So it's really interesting, and I kind of love it because I feel like in the woo world it's very you're on one side of the fence or the other.
Yeah.
I love black and white. I wear both, but I think that's really interesting. And there's also, again, whether you're wearing it or you're decorating with it, like think about red. It's a color that there's a lot of like fire to that, and there's light and shadow to that statement, right? That invokes passion, that can also invoke temper. So somebody says to me, it's a certain room in their house, like, let me like lean on my feng shui training for a second and think about a few other things that like, why is everybody fighting in that room or feeling tense? I'm like, hey, I don't think this is great that this room is red, right? Like this isn't the place for this. Green, that's very of the heart, right? It's has a very calming effect to it, certain shades of green. And I think that's the other thing. It's the shades, right? There's 1,000 shades of every single color. So for me to just say green is this or purple is this, I'm like, well, there's a lot of shades. But if you think about it, color is always telling a story and sharing an energy of something between you and the outside world.
So like I could see there could be a big connection there also, I guess, not just with the colors in fashion, but even like candle magic and stuff like that, where certain colors represent certain things. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. All your mystical items, things you're putting on your altar, like every single thing tells a story. Like, is the crystal a sphere, or is it pointy on both sides? Is the candle yellow or red? Is this or that, right? Like there's 1,000 things that you can pull apart with symbolism and the energies that are attached to them, that symbolize them, that you're putting throughout your home. And I guess, for people like us, especially with our altars, right? Like altars are tiny vortexes of energy to something. So let's be mindful about what we're calling forth on that platform.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting.
So you brought up the feng shui. So I saw that you had studied that for quite some time. And I feel like it was something that had that got popular in the everyday, like people were talking about it for a certain amount of time and then it kind of disappeared.
Yeah, like in the 90s maybe?
Yeah.
I remember kind of hearing it. Yeah.
It was kind of like a fad thing that people got into and then they didn't talk about it anymore. But it's a serious thing that you have studied. And I was wondering if you could refresh our memories for those of us who learned about it a long time ago, or for some of us younger bucks out there who maybe didn't live during that time. What is feng shui? And then how do you use it now with your work?
Feng shui is an energetic modality that we're really seeing being used in the house. And I think that the first thing people think about is like moving furniture around. Yes. And it's so much deeper, right? And a feng shui practitioner is going to come into your space. And if things are off, they're going to give you what would be called cures in that tradition. So it's really helping you to have a harmonious house, help the people in the house to be harmonious, right? It's layered. What's going on in the house is, right? Is somebody sick? Is somebody not able to concentrate at work? Is this happening? Right? Like something's going on with the neighbors. There, you open the door to someone's house and it's endless what could be going on with that. So feng shui is one of the modalities that I've kind of baked into my secret sauce. And I've taken a lot of things from my years of training in different shamanic lineages around clearing people in spaces. And then also from my personal lineage from the Celtic shamanic traditions. There's a form of like Celtic geopathic stress healing, stress analysis that you're looking again at the land, the people in the house itself, and doing a little woo to kind of refresh things. So I've taken all those pieces and put it together, plus my fashion background, and made this style rituals modality.
That's speaking of feng shui, it really is pretty interesting. And I think I've had a little bit of a run-in with that, to be quite honest, because we have a house. With the house, we've been in this house about 2 years now, and everything seems to work pretty nicely. Things are a little busy around here right now, but other than that, I think everything has been the way. Everything kind of feels smooth, right? I think for the most part, but I don't know why, and Jenny can attest to this. I've mentioned about 1 million times how our living room just feels off. Like I can never, like it just, and I'm like constantly talking to her, and I think she just gets a little bit annoyed at me because I'm just like, we need to move things around.
I was thinking about it today because whenever Christmas comes around, the Christmas tree argument about where's the Christmas tree going to go in this living room becomes a real nightmare. And last year we moved stuff around like 3 times to try to figure out where to put a Christmas tree. And he hates it all.
Yeah. But it just, and there's nothing wrong with it. Like our furniture fits in there.
Yeah.
Everything fits, but it just doesn't have, I guess, flow would be the good way to use that. And so maybe that's something we need to look into, because that's been something that I think has been like, something about this living room is off, but that's not that way anywhere else in the house. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it could be moving the furniture around. It could be an item in there that's causing some kind of chaos or havoc. It could be the land under your house, right there under that room. Again, right, there's stories in the walls, who lived there before. There's so many things to potentially unpack when you're looking at the energy of someone's home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
there's some weird energy here.
That's a whole another story. But
yeah. Okay. So CMC has a question, but it's the top of the hour. Do you want to reset us, Frosty?
Yes. If you were just joining us, welcome in. You are listening to the Witching Hours. I'm Frosty, and the other co-host is Medium Jenny Lee. And tonight our guest is Colleen McCann, and we are talking about style rituals and all kinds of glamour magic, and really the combination between magic and spirituality and style and fashion. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them in chat. We will start getting to our questions here soon as we're reaching the end here in about 30 minutes. So if you have questions, feel free to put them in chat, and we will get those over to Colleen so we can discuss some of those. So if you're in Twitch and you have some channel points, you can always feel free to highlight it to make sure we don't miss it. If you're on Facebook or over on spiritrealm.net, we will also get your questions from there. So feel free to put those in chat. In a world of mass production, there's still a place where fire meets steel and tradition comes alive. At Vincent's Forge, every piece is forged by hand, unique, durable, and built to last. Each creation carries the mark of true craftsmanship. Own something forged by fire. Own something that tells a story. Vincent's Forge, handcrafted, unforgettable. Available now on Etsy.
CMC has one right now. Do you see or sense colors that are not part of our rainbow spectrum?
I love that question. Thank you for asking. And the answer is yes.
Ooh, tell us more.
I see, again, the only way I can describe it is this is a pink color, right? That's the closest thing to describe it, but I understand what that question is. Yes. And I've talked to other people about that too, that like there are colors like that just are part of the 3D realm that sometimes some people can see. So yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know a lot of people that have had near-death experiences come back, and they talk about how, I was getting ready to ask you, and they talk about how they've seen colors there that they have never seen on Earth, or that the colors are more vibrant, or that they can't explain the colors because there's just no words for them. So you have had a near-death experience?
Yes. I had a very gnarly NDE when I was 19.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
Do you think that had a direct effect on what happened about, like 8 years later or 7 years later or whatever?
Yeah, I thought about that, and it's been interesting because like that happened at 19, let's just say, right then everything else starts at 29, and then at 39, I had another like very traumatic thing happen. So just say large universal shift.
Yeah.
That like I've thought about that every time right before I like switch a decade, something wild happens to me. If it was related, it obviously took a very long time to mature because none of this really loudly came online till a lot later. But I think that, right, as all people in this world know, that stand up as healers, we don't experience anything that we're not later going to work into experiences with our clients. So I get a lot of people that have come to me that have NDEs because I get it. Even if our NDEs were wildly different, I understand what a guttural shake that is to
Mm.
to somebody mentally, physically, emotionally, and energetically.
I think that's pretty common, though, Colleen, that people who've had near-death experiences, it takes them a long time to process it. And then it takes them a long time to figure out all of the strange things that start happening to them. And then it takes even longer for them to figure out what to do with it. So I don't think that was unusual for you, if that is part of your, that was part of your journey.
It felt like a calling card to like the bigger part of the journey. Yeah.
Interesting. Because as soon as I said it, I was like, oh, I think that might be what. Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't actually heard that all the way. I was aware of like seeing like more intense colors and things like that, but I hadn't heard of seeing colors they hadn't
that don't
seen
exist
before.
here. Yeah.
But I mean, that makes sense because there's all kinds of, I mean, it's only our human bodies that see that range of light. So if you were to leave your body, there'd be nothing to keep you from seeing all the different light, right?
Literally our eyeballs processing the light spectrum, and it can only process so much.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk some more about the shamanism, which you brought up a little bit. You have studied quite a few different kinds, and you were talking a little bit about two of them that you kind of have worked into the way that you do things. But kind of backing up on that a little bit, since you've studied so many different ones, how do you find that what are the similarities between them, and what are some of the differences?
Yes. So that's been one of the biggest jewels for me in studying multiple lineages of shamanism, is they are all so beautifully similar and so amazingly different. Right. Like, and that's been really exciting. And I think, I'm somebody that's like, again, I told you, I'm incredibly curious. I constantly, I'm like, well, how do you do this? And how do you do this? And right. Hey, cool. Let's talk about how we all do this differently. And, oh, wow, look at how similar it actually is anyway.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So I think I'm definitely not somebody that would say, oh, I studied this one lineage and this is like the way up the mountain. I think studying multiple lineages of shamanism and other modalities has taught me that there's an infinite number of paths up the mountain.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And then like learning about all the different types of things, you take what resonates for you and you use those parts, and it becomes your own thing.
Absolutely. And it was interesting. Like Peruvian shamanism is where I went first, because that's what I had access to. And I don't know what was going on in the collective consciousness, but much later, like maybe like 2018, 2019, leading up into 2020, all of a sudden I see all these like Celtic shamans or sharp women like coming out of nowhere, like talking about this. Hey guys, this has been buried for 1,500 years, or just coming out of the blue, right? When I had like searched for this just to understand where I came from, because I firmly believe, after meeting so many healers from all around the world, right, there's Korean shamanism and Hawaiian shamanism and Nordic shamanism and every country, culture, faith practice or energy practice, like there is what we call shamanism. That's our Kleenex word, right? That this exists everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we're bringing it back.
Yeah. Because we talk about, shamanism a lot, how, really you're just going back to the origins,
Absolutely.
And so many of the ancestors, no matter where they come from on earth, like they all seem to have this common thread, this common like root structure between them, even though there's like differences and cultures and stuff spin off certain ideas. It's like the root structure of all of the shamanism seems to essentially be the same.
Yeah. And I think it's really interesting too. I always want people, I teach and talk from a place of like, be open, be curious, study all these lineages, have the conversation with different people that like, I think the first kind of like if you want to call it like worship to like animal spirits, spirit animals, was found in a cave in France, however, thousands of years ago that was, and in ancient France. And, so I want to say, well, I don't think one person owns spirit animals. And if anybody owns it, isn't it France? Right? Like it's kind of interesting, right? Like there, and again, obviously we want to use things like sage with such reverence and respect, all kinds of burnable herbs that are helping us do different things in our practices. And, I see people try and like own sage, and I keep thinking about like, well, this was going on in ancient Egypt. So if we're going to do that, don't the Egyptians own this?
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting, right? Like it's, these things are happening all over the earth. I think it just, and I'm so glad certain cultures got to hold on to their pieces of it, where other people lost it or was burned down.
Yeah.
And also this kind of connection that we're so eager to think of other people sometimes as other, but like in a lot of ways, what happened in the ancient Egyptian culture and what happened in Norse culture and what happened in ancient Sumerian culture is a shared culture for us anyway.
Yes.
It's not other, it's like us,
Yeah. Which Luce has an excellent question that ties all into this of exactly what you guys are talking about. Was this ever a thing for you? How did you grapple with your whiteness while learning these beautiful practices in a world of racial tension?
Yeah. Well, it's a wonderful question. And I can't say within the circle I would ever feel that way. And if, esteemed Indigenous elders were willing to have me sit in their circle, perhaps other people should think about that, because they weren't interested in what color I was or was not. They were recognizing me as somebody that should be doing this work for whatever reason, and were willing to teach me. And again, this kind of comes back to shamanism or earth magic or earth medicine or whatever word you kind of want to insert in there, that shamanism is everywhere. So people that have yellow skin tones and brown and black and white and all these colors, there are shamanic lineages all over this earth.
Yeah. That are very heavily connected, I feel, even though they were happening at different places and times.
Yeah.
Which gets us into that. But, and people were making discovery, all these things are happening at different places on the planet where people are influencing, and we still don't know how that happened. Pyramids in South America, and pyramids in Egypt, and pyramids being built in Asia. And so a lot of these things are all shared,
But I also think that when you are wanting to learn something that's outside of your race, that the people that are part of that tradition are excited that somebody else wants to learn it, regardless of what color they are. I know, my teacher, Cindy Keza, she has been working on a documentary for years now where she goes to different places in the world and she learns their mediumship processes, and she's always welcomed in and goes through their rituals and does their things, and that it's like it doesn't seem like it's ever been a problem.
If you're going
about it the right way,
if you're going in to talk about why their system is wrong and your European Protestant Christian is the reason why that's correct,
but you're going into with an open heart,
a different way. You're
going into with an open heart, wanting to learn what their rituals and culture is. Then it's not. It's different. At least I would hope so.
I think so. And I think we've talked about too with this is a question I have for you too, Colleen. We've talked to a lot of people who are spiritual, a lot of mediums and psychics that talk about a realization through what they do that there's a coming shift, obviously a movement back to shamanism, a movement back to spirituality. What have been your experiences and what are your thoughts about that?
About why people are embracing shamanism and other modalities.
Yeah,
instead
and also
of, say, like Christianity.
Or yeah, that and that for sure.
Okay.
And then also, like, have you also had any messages or anything about things changing and a shift that's going to occur?
Well, I mean, I think as far as, and again, I was, raised in a strict Midwest Irish Catholic household, so I can very much speak to that, and then I can also speak to the other side that there wasn't. Again, overall, I'm not saying this happened in my house or the church I was in. However, when we speak of broader brushstrokes, that we're seeing, not great control and manipulation and other things going on through the centuries with certain religions. So I can see why, everybody's welcome here except you, and you, right? And that's what we hear in a lot in Christianity. So people going to other places where they're not going to hear it. But then now we're also hearing people on that side go, well, everybody's welcome here, but not you, and you. So, okay, are we all in, we're all saying this? Like, okay.
Come on, people.
Okay, whatever. But I think that also people are really turning to these earth energy modalities. I don't even want to use the word shamanism because there's so many, and it's all the same thing by a different name. That I think nature is incredibly healing, and everyone on this planet is desperately looking for healing in at least one way right now. And I think that engaging with some of these practices are helping us to get that healing that we need, or at least create the space for the healing to take place. So I think it's incredibly important to look back into your past, whatever that means. Like what are these earth medicine lineages of your ancestors? And that could be from very different places, right? What if you're half Japanese and half French, right?
Yep.
Okay, great. You want to look at both those? Have at it.
Yeah. It's interesting because when I think of shamanism, like one of the first things I always think about is roots. I always imagine tree roots whenever I say the word shamanism. But I feel like also right now in this time that we live in, I feel like it also brings a certain sense of grounding. Just kind of going back to the sun and shamanism or whatever that term is. I think right now more than ever, maybe just being able to be attached and to be grounded and to feel rooted a little bit when the world seems kind of chaotic might be another possibility there. But yeah.
I think, even for people that aren't in the woo-woo world, a lot of people are turning back to wanting to farm their own land, to grow their own crops and
chickens,
having their own animals and learning how plants can for medicinal purposes. I mean, a lot of people are going back to that too. It kind of just feels like an overall return to nature.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So are farmers shamans?
Yeah. Maybe some of them are.
Yeah.
At least once a goat farm.
they're speaking and working with the land. Again, what's a shaman?
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about space clearing. Energy clearing. You brought it up quite a few times, and it was one of the things I had in my list of questions to ask you. So it sounds like that was another thing where you took bits and pieces from different things that you learned and kind of made it your own. So could you go through an example of how you clear somebody's house, for example?
Absolutely. So I start with an intake, right? And I do this in person and remotely. I mostly work in New York and LA because that's where my clients are, but I go worldwide and can do it remotely worldwide. So having some kind of intake, either via Zoom or in person with my client, right? This is kind of the therapy portion, like you two were telling me about your living room, right? Like I need to get the intake. People know where there's something off. They know. I've never walked in somewhere that somebody's like, I don't know what's wrong in here. So really hearing that, and then getting to walk around the house and listen and talk to the house. And then I get out a floor plan of the house and I work with my pendulum. So I'm doing dowsing. I also work with doing stone throwing, with tarot cards, and just raw intuition and automatic writing, and get a whole bunch of information on this floor plan. And then I will go back and talk to the owner again, tell them what I found, tell them what I'm going to do. Again, if there's anything they need to do, like who's doing what, we both need to be responsible for this property, especially the owners, right? This is not a one-way street. So I do the healing work, and then I'll normally ask my clients to come back and see me after about 6 months. We need to let things settle, and then we'll see what's happening.
What are some common problems that you find for people?
Ghosts in the house.
That's a pretty normal one for you. Just
Ghosts in the house.
Somebody's stuck there.
I will also say, which again, this makes me very grateful to be able to sit in shamanic lineages from Peruvian to my bloodlines, Celtic and Norse, that I get a lot of people who have homes on land that feels distressed, right? There's an ancient indigenous burial ground that's been found there, or it was holy land for some reason, and the spirits there are restless and upset, or they have messages, or they want an offering, or all these things could be happening. But I feel very lucky that I think maybe they're coming near me because I can begin to understand those practices.
We have two questions for you. CMC wants to know if you use dowsing rods.
I do use dowsing rods as well as a pendulum.
And then Paula from Facebook would like to know, do you set an intention so that this clearing will hold that vibration once cleared? Absolutely.
Intentions, protections. I mean, yes, that is a process I take very seriously, and take all the time I need to do so.
Very interesting. So, okay. I had a question based off of that, and it fell out of my head.
Oh, there you go. Well, it was interesting too, because we were talking about the connection with the earth, and there's been has there been any scenarios where you've dealt with any kind of elementals? Is that something you've had any connection with before?
Good question.
Definitely a little bit, but not as much as indigenous ancestors. Okay.
Because that's something we've run into quite a bit in our investigations recently, just doing some paranormal investigations, like haunted areas. We were having a conversation with something the other day where we were having a conversation about whether or not there seems to be almost more and more kind of elemental stuff happening. Yeah.
That's open portals.
Yeah. There's something afoot here. I need my Scooby-Doo shirt on.
Ruh-roh. Okay, I remember what it was now. So,
what was that?
All right, so I'm assuming you've probably come across, other than the indigenous spirits, some stuck folks. Is crossing over something that you do? Because there's some different people have different thoughts about what that means, or what it looks like, or if you should. So what are your thoughts on that? Or is that something that you have experienced?
I've definitely had many experiences of crossing folks over, that is a case by case basis. Again, if I sense a spirit presence on the land, I have to see, because it could be, and again, I'm leaning on this from shamanic training, all the lineages, saw it everywhere, that is that a land protector? Like, that spirit's not supposed to go anywhere. And honestly, you can't move it. Like, I don't care how hard you try, like, you can't get the land spirit. Like, that's their land. And again, so there's like leaving offerings and honoring what they want to share with you and be heard. Right. So that's one piece. Or is it somebody that died in the house and they're stuck there because they have something to say, or there's something somebody on earth still needs to know, or they just need to be witnessed again, which I feel like that happens a lot. Like ghostly entities just want to be witnessed, and they'll leave a lot after that. So yeah, and then I've seen like some scary shit also.
Well, we only got 5 more minutes, so I don't know which path to go down here. Because I feel like we could keep talking for a long time. Do you want to pick up on one of those things, Frosty, or did you have another question?
Well, I was kind of wanted to go back a little bit with the couple minutes you have left to talk a little bit more about the fashion and a little bit of the connections there. Just for people who are listening, are there any just some short, quick things that people can do for certain situations, like maybe going in for that job interview? Is there some certain kind of like things that's more important, whether that's like, the dress or suit you're wearing, or the shoes you're wearing, or whether you're wearing some kind of accessory? Is there anything that's more important than the other, or does it all have to work together?
Frosty, you are speaking my love language. If I had to sum something up, and I love this because this bridges both worlds, wear crystals. Wear crystals.
I have my rose quartz on today.
There we go.
There's a crystal for everything. So I think it can be really helpful. And you can check this out in my book, Crystal RX, where I talk about every single crystal. And it's a very good beginner's guide to crystals, of what to wear when, where to put them, how to put them on an altar, how to put them in your house, all kinds of things if you're just getting into it. So it's not an advanced book, it's a beginner's book. So I would say that's incredibly important. And, leaning back on my fashion roots, like what they always say, like, dress for the job you want, right? Like if you're going in for some corporate job where everybody's wearing suits, like, don't show up in a sweatsuit. You know what I mean?
I'll take note. I'll mark that one down.
Keep your pajama bottoms in the drawer that day.
That's right. Pay attention to, like, the environment that you're going to be in. People want to see that reflected back at them, that you got the memo, right? Like, you got the assignment.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. All right. Well, that sounds really good. But while we're finishing out the last few minutes here, can you tell everybody where they can go to find you online?
Yes, you can find me at stylerituals.com. And then I'm on all the socials at style_rituals.
Excellent.
Which
it's a really
we
nice
have.
website, I have to say.
Yes,
I enjoyed perusing through your website.
Which, if you're on Twitch, we have that link at the top. And if you're on Facebook, I just shared it again over there. And Frosty will have it down in the description box of wherever you may be listening to this later.
Yeah, we'll definitely have all those links in there. So definitely check that out. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Colleen. We had a blast talking to you.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. Thank you, Frosty and Jenny, for having me.
And I have like things that I didn't get to, and now I have like 20 more questions. So if you would like to come back on at some point next year, we'd love to have you back.
I would love to come back. Thank you.
Excellent. We'd like to get into, and that's something we didn't talk about really to the very end. We have a lot of discussion about crystals, and people are always wanting to know about this.
That was one of the things I had on my list.
So maybe we could just do kind of like a crystal show or something.
That would be great.
We could do a whole episode on crystals.
Yeah.
I am your girl.
Let's do it.
Right. That sounds wonderful. Well, thank you so much. For all of you who are listening at another time and another place, We will see you all next time.